So, um, I noticed there has been a lot of media coverage on Dr. Dre and Nicole Young's divorce. And it just seems like now you have this back and forth arguing, and there's some horrible videos that are being posted about Nicole Young just pretty much putting her under the bus. And I'm not surprised because there's this back and forth bickering, especially in the black community when it comes to black couples breaking up. And so Nicole Young, it's I've seen a lot of articles, and it's sad because you gotta remember that at one point they were a couple and they do have a family. And when you bash Nicole, the kids are also looking at the videos. Um, I in the past, I don't know personally Dr. Dre, but I've seen him. And so I did a video where I seen his activities. But I don't know him. But I do know that he had a history of being, hot tempered. Um, and just from his demeanor, when I did get a chance to it was so long ago, and I don't even think he would remember because at the time that I saw him, he had been drinking, and he was drinking heavy, and so that is the truth. So when she said in her comments, allegedly some of the events that took place between her and him, where he was upset and he kicked her out and he had been drinking, it was like it instantly brought back the images that I saw of him. And they weren't images, they were in person, how he behaved. And so it just gave me a picture of what kind of individual he may be. And that's why I was surprised, like I said in the previous video, that he even was married. But like I said too, also, you never know. People are different with different individuals. So maybe maybe he has two personalities. I don't know. But here this says Nicole Young, 5 things to know about Dr. Dre's wife as they split after 24 years of marriage. Now, marriage is not easy, and I'm saying this from experience and then from people who have been married, that you have to work at a marriage. Marriage is not easy. And then when you're famous, there's not much that you can do, unless you're like extremely private. And I guess when you put your private affairs out in the open, or if media just kind of just goes crazy, and they will, depending on how famous you are. There's not much that you can hide. There's only so much you can hide, because things do come out in the media if you're really high profile. And Dr. Dre definitely is high profile in terms of the hip hop world, in terms of entertainment, music industry, and what have you. So Nicole Young, Dr. Dre's wife of 24 years, shocked fans when she filed for divorce from the rapper on June 29th and cited irreconcilable differences as the cause. So that's when it really didn't come out, all of the details, and then more things started to emerge, and more things will emerge, I believe. And so I think a lot of people were jumping all over the fact that she was requesting a lot of money for different items, of course. And so here are 5 things you should know about her. So Dr. Dre, who is 55 years old, and the wife Nicole Young, who is 50, they're around the same close, almost close in age, um, are starting their summer off with a shocking split. And so, after 24 years of marriage, the news made headlines that Nicole filed for divorce from the rapper June 29th and cited irreconcilable differences as the reason for the decision. The former lovebirds were married May 25th, 1996, and they share 2 children, a son named Truce, who is 23, and a daughter named Truly, who is 19, together. So it doesn't look like they will have any child support issues involved because the kids are not like babies. They're young adults. And so here are the 5 you should know about Nicole in her past and her present with Dre. So this is more about Nicole. So she's seeking spousal support during the divorce. Okay, so spousal support. Okay, not child support. So so the former couple had no prenup arrangement according to TMZ. So things may get messy when it comes to finances. So always, like I said, even in previous videos, when it happens to have an involvement with money, it can get crazy. And so here you got somebody who is trying to take any portion of your money. You're going to have a fight. And like I said, it's a money fight. And so it is not clear how much Nicole is asking, but Dre is worth an estimated. Now listen to how much Dre is worth. He's worth an estimated $800 million. So he's not just a millionaire, he's an $800 millionaire. 800 millionaire. And so he's like really big, you know. So, and she is working with celebrity attorney Samantha Spector, who, now listen, a celebrity attorney who is known for working with high profile people. And so there's attorney fees, and if you work with high profile people that have money, these are people who are really wealthy. And so before this is Dr. Dre at left, and at right is Nicole Young. Dr. Dre and Nicole Young. And before marrying Dr. Dre, she was married to an NBA player, Sadeo Threat. So I may be saying that incorrectly. Correct me if I'm wrong on the pronunciation of the name. Okay, so Nicole, whose maiden name is Polster, married Sadeo in 1992, and they were together for about only 3 years before deciding to go their separate ways. So she's a brunette beauty who was still with Sadeo when she met Dre. So she was with another person before meeting Dre, and he was the NBA player. So so they were only together for 3 years before they decided to split and go their separate ways. And then Dre, whose real name is Andre Young, according to the Hip Hop DX, Dre wrote her a letter in 1995 that read, "Hopefully you're doing well. You realize that you need to quit fucking with Sadeo and come home to your doctor." So in other words, I guess he had a thing for her, and he was wooing her, and they got in a relationship. So I will take care of you. I will take care of you, baby girl. And they married the next year. So there was a connection between the two of them. He really liked being involved with her. They had connection, and a love connection. So she was a stepmother to Dre's older kids from the previous relationship that he had. And they include a daughter, Tyra, a son, Curtis, 38 years, whose mother, Cassandra Green, daughter, Latanya, 37, whose mother is Lisa Johnson, a son, Marcel, 29. So Dre, he has kids from previous relationships, and he's had previous relationships. Of course, everybody has had something in their past, something. Okay, so Marcel's son, Marcel, 29, and whose mother is the singer Michelle, and daughter Latoya. Okay. All right, so do you hear that? Michelle, he was involved also with Michelle. So Dre also had a son, Andre Young Jr., who tragically died of a drug overdose at the age of 20 in 2008. And so here is Dre, here is Truly, all the way to the far left. She looks just like her father. She looks more like Dre. And then her mother to the right, Nicole Young. They all have that chic look the way they're standing. And so Dre, Nicole Young with their daughter Truly at a fashion event. That's the reason why they had that chic look. So it's been reported that she works as an attorney. So she's had, now let's get into her life. She was an attorney, but there's no proof of the claims. Okay. So TMZ and other outlets have reported the alleged career. All right. But there doesn't appear to be a record of her practicing law in the state of California, and she isn't listed on the State Bar of California website, according to the Heavy. So, there's, if you're legally an attorney, you'll have a listing showing that you're, licensed and qualified for what it is that you do. And so, according to the State Bar of California website, she's not listed. It's not showing that she's done any work. So there is also no knowledge of where and when she received a law degree. Okay, so she and Dre appeared very happy in the last Instagram photo. So I will show you that photo. And so in the pic, which was posted September 2018, the former lovebirds can be seen sitting next to each other with huge smiles on their faces. Was just an average Tuesday, and this is what the fuck we do, the caption wrote for the pic that it read. And so it's crazy. And then you can see some Twitter users, they basically say, how do you go from this to a nasty ass divorce? So this was at a fashion show. The daughter, she looks like a model. She probably could be, because I know she's got the height on her, to be one of those tall models. I'm just my opinion, but it's crazy that this is happening. It's sad. There are people that are saying really horrible stuff about Nicole, because I believe it has to do, I know some people are saying that she's greedy, and and that she's just trying to get money out of Dre, but with any divorce, like I say, no one wins. You've seen a lot of videos saying, oh, and the winners, Dre's the winner, and all of that, and it's sad, because what these people are doing is actually they're instigating this divorce battle, and they're turning it into a media frenzy where they're making it a mudslinging divorce, and where it's back and forth. and you have the male, all these misogynist dudes that are online saying all this nasty stuff about Nicole. And then you have people that are online just talking about these people as if they live right next door to them. And they may not even had as much interaction with them as much as I've had with Dre. You know, I've seen him. I've met him in a club. I met him like more than once. Um, um, but I got up. I say about maybe four. I say I got up about 4 feet of him, and that's about it. And he turned and looked at me, but that was it. Because he was so drunk. He was so drunk, and I won't go into any more details. But his attitude was really, really like he was like really heavily intoxicated. Put it that way. And there were security around him, and it looked like I don't know what he was going through that night. It looked like he was angry about something. And so I don't know if maybe somebody did something to him or if he, but I believe he got into an altercation that night that I saw him. I think a melee had ensued. So I don't know if it was the same night. I don't know. I don't know if it was the same night that that lady was there. Because there were other celebrity faces, people that were coming because it was a listening party. And I don't know if that there was a woman where he punched her in the face. And so I think maybe that was where I was because it was so long ago. And I believe because a friend of mine, she said, "Do you know what he did to that other lady?" He hit her. And I was like, I'm glad I didn't get any further than what I did. But I was really close. I was trying to get, I was trying to, you know, be friendly and talk to him and everything. But when I saw how drunk he was, I just went the other way because I was like, all on his breath, you could smell alcohol, just liquor. He was liquored up. It was too much liquor. So I was like, oh no, this is too much. And so but he looked like he was angry at somebody else. But I remember that. I remember a lot of things. I've met, I'll say this, he's not the only person I've met. I've met a lot of other people who are real well known people, some that have died more recent, um, because I used to go to a lot of listening parties. I used to go out and, sort of like how you see Instagram and you see how some people are like reporters or some people are, they're out there where the money is or they're where the popular people are. And I was sort of like, running with a group where, wherever the popular people were, wherever the hip hop artists are, we're there. So anyway, but that was long, long, long time ago. But I've seen a lot of people. I've seen a lot of things, stuff you wouldn't believe. But he he just seemed like he had a real strong temper when it comes to, no nonsense. You don't want to cross me. I mean, listen to the lingo. This is what the fuck we do. So it's like, think about it. I mean, I'm not saying that to put him down, but that's his, I mean, think about it. The guy, I believe he was in Compton, um, from there. Uh, from Compton Watts. It's not that far from Compton, the Compton area, Compton-ish. So it's just a lot of stuff. I mean, that happens to people when they go through these divorces. They're all, um, no marriage is perfect. Nobody is perfect. People are human. People will make mistakes. Things happen in people's lives. Some people grow together or they grow apart. They have irreconcilable differences, as they say here. And so I think what makes this worse is that you got these to these people who they get online, and when they see this, they can't wait to just jump all over the female. And I believe maybe, here's the part that I will say. Now, I'm not trying to put her down, but what I have noticed is that, let me say this, is there was a time, and I don't know if that's still happening, that women would, back in this time, that like the 90s, the late 80s, early 90s, or in the 90s, there was some women, not all, but some women would, if they were not, if they were not educated, or were not someone that had went to college or had gotten skill set and gotten their own monies, if they were not famous, if they didn't have their own source of income, you had some women who they feel that if they could be successful, they could be successful with a male that was successful, and a male that he possesses a lot of wealth, maybe fame. Some women that attracts them. A man that has stability. He can buy a home. He can buy security. He can take care of her and the family. And I think originally, isn't that what it was? Supposedly, where the male is the head of the household and he takes care of the wife and the kids, and some women, their lot in life is to be the homemaker. And, but the problem with that is that if you don't have a skill set of your own, like they read here about Nicole Young supposedly having a law degree and what have you, but they can't find a listing of it. If you don't have your own money or your own way, supposing this relationship doesn't work out, okay, he's a wealthy guy, he has money, whoever he is. If it doesn't work out, what are you going to do if you all of a sudden find yourself by yourself? Do you have a skill set? Do you have employment to fall back on? Some type of business that you own? Do you have some type of money set aside in case you have irreconcilable differences? Do you have something, a foundation that you can say, okay, this is mine in case this doesn't work out? And I need, because you need to be able to survive after that point. How are you going to pay your bills? How are you going to pay for your mortgage or your home, or carry on through life until you meet the next person, or if you decide to remain single? You should be able to. You should think, what if I'm never going to marry again? What if I'm never going to be, because then you get in the mindset that you have to need someone to be, secure. And you shouldn't have to have that attitude. You should be independent of yourself. And so you have to have some level of independence in case things don't work out. And so that's all I'm saying. And I feel like the problem with this culture of individuals thinking that they need to be with somebody in order to have some kind of stability, it causes you to become handicapped. And so you could have bruised egos, bruised feelings, hurt feelings, and feel sad, and maybe you want to be with someone, but that doesn't always sometimes work out. But if you, in the event that you're not with someone, you need to be able to survive and carry on with life even when you're not with that individual. And so I think what people are looking at is the fact that she's wanting this money, but then two, they mention the lawyers. Lawyers charge by the hour, I believe. Sometimes not even by the hour, by the minute. It seems like they can charge large fees just for consultation. And so if these are high profile lawyers, then they want high profile money. And so you have to take that in consideration as well. If that's what the lawyer is about money. And so it may not necessarily be just the person that they're, representing, but also if the person they're representing is feeling as though I spent a majority of my life with this individual, I don't have other skill sets, I still have that high price living or that luxury living, I want to keep that luxury living. You have all this money. Okay, can you at least set me up so that I don't have to seek any other avenue? Can you, I guess maybe the person is still wanting to be taken care of financially. So, spousal support, that's what I'm hearing when it says not child support, where you're taking care of the children because they're still little, they need diapers, they need child care. No, this is not the kids because they're not little, they're young adults. They can pretty much take care of themselves, or they're not needing the support like this woman here. She does not want to give up the life that she's had for 24 years with this person. And so if you're living in Malibu, like I said, the Malibu is by the beach. That's beachfront property is expensive. And so anything that comes along with that is going to be expensive. Landscaping, if you have a maid, if you have someone helping, I don't know if she still wants to retain that type of lifestyle. I would bet it's going to continue to cost money. And so here's the thing. If there's no prenup, and I believe a prenup is when, if you look that up, prenup is, from my knowledge, off the top of my head, is when you and your partner have a contract. What's yours is yours, and what's mine is mine. And then if you don't have a prenup, it's what's ours is ours, and what's ours is ours, is what I believe it is. And so a prenup is an agreement, and so the prenup meaning, and so basically prenup meaning in marriage, and so it I'm sure it will go into it. So a prenuptial agreement, did you get her to sign a prenup? And so pretty much prenuptial agreement is an antenuptial agreement, a written contract between two people who are about to marry, setting out the terms of possession of assets, treatment of future earnings, control of the property of each, and the potential division if the marriage is later dissolved. Okay, a prenup, if they sign one, would clarify matters further and could shield them from the communal property laws. Okay, and so is the same as prenuptial agreement and prenups. It's the same. And so it is rewriting a contract to suit the needs of the preferences of the couple getting married. High profile family law attorney in New York. Okay, so basically it's pretty much what I'm saying. If you what should the prenup include? What is the prenup? What do I include in it? And so the rules vary widely from states to state. Your prenup should include severability clause stating that if one or more of its clauses is invalidated by a court, the rest of the agreement, such as directions on divisions of assets, still stands. Okay, so A prenuptial agreement, prenup for short, written contract created by two people before they are married. A prenup typically lists all of the property each person owns, as well as any debts, and specifies what each person's property rights will be after the marriage, okay? And so that's what it is. And so if one isn't done, then that's where the lawyer then comes into play, and then it has to be all hashed out with the lawyers and in court on who gets what and what's fair and what's not fair. And so just because they're in court one time doesn't mean it can't happen again. And so it depends on how this goes. They could wind up in court again, very well, for some of the same things, or maybe even other things that come about. And so you know that some of these articles too, where it's mudslinging articles that aren't very descriptive about who these people are. If they're articles saying the winner is and all of that, those are mudslinging articles. And sometimes you'll have fans of Dr. Dre and people who have listened to his music for years, and they feel some type of way, so they write the article according to that. And that is the reason why there's these mudslinging articles against, and they almost always, when there's these high profile divorces, the articles always go against females too, a lot of times coming into possession of a man's money, even if it is legal, and if it has evidence that she deserves to have a certain portion of money. It and it depends on the race too of the female, I think, also sometimes, because when it's women of color or women who are black, presumed African descent, or of African descent, it almost always, they take the hardest criticism when they go through divorce, as being gold diggers and needy. But when I notice that articles, when you see women that are not African American, or they're not marginalized specifically, the criticism is not as hard. It doesn't look to be or appear to be. It's there for a minute and then boom, it's gone. Out of the media. It's no longer an issue. But when it's a woman of color, it's like, oh, look at the gold digger. They can't wait to pretty much dig into her and to pretty much belittle her to the lowest extent. And so I notice that's what happens a lot of times in this climate, and especially in the black community. I don't know what that is, but there's not that much high regard for, sometimes there's this bashing of females, and that's the sad part, which is crazy, because when a man is killed by the police, or he is in the media as being murdered wrongfully based on race, the very women that are bashed tend to be the very ones that are the fighters that will come to the forefront in regard or in favor of men of color, to try to fight for their civil rights. And so that's what's sad. And so we don't need this, we don't need this, where I've seen some guys, they couldn't wait to get online and make videos to pretty much put this woman under the bus. Now, what I do know too, another thing is that I did see something in one of the articles that was, saying that she wanted part of the rights to the, I guess, the album that blew up, The Chronic. And I think that was between Dr. Dre and Snoop. I mean, he worked on that. I mean, I don't see anywhere that she might have been with him. They might have been in a relationship when all that was going on. I don't see where she would get any ownership of that. I could see getting spouse some type of support, and if they came to an even out of the court agreement on what they would do in private. But I don't see how, and this is just my opinion, how she would get any rights to that unless she was in the studio with them and she was doing any type of work to help the encouragement of, you know, the writing of the music. I didn't see that. So I don't know how she would get any rights to that. That I don't think should be something, that's, I think that's his. I'm saying that on behalf of that's work that he worked for. Um, Even if, and I would say this even for somebody that was not a good person, if they worked hard on something at some point in their life and they earned it, then it's theirs. I mean, I don't think you should take those things away from them. But if you're in a relationship, you have kids with someone, the kids are young adults, maybe they're secure, they're able to do things on their own. But if that woman is still, she's 24 years, that's hard. No divorce is easy. And so if you've been accustomed to a particular lifestyle, it may be a transition in the beginning to try to. It sounded like it was temporary too. And from what I heard, it was temporary spousal support. So maybe she might be trying to gradually get out of the relationship, because that's a long time to be with someone and now you have to switch gears and you have to change your life. Maybe she might want to sell the home that she's in and move to something that's less expensive. Who knows? I don't know. So but I think what I'm saying is what's sad is that the media, they kind of add in on the mudslinging and articles. And then you have these people that without a veil, they get online and they kind of encourage the mudslinging, and that does not help this or any couple for that matter of fact. And so I think it's wrong to just put all the blame on one person. We don't know the lives of this woman, the life of this woman, and what she's actually experienced. And so there is anger. I don't think marriage is a marital divorce is a happy event. And so I don't see why people think it's just simple. They did have a family and kids. There's a lot of time, 24 years. They're not going to walk away with smiles on their face, particularly. So even with a quiet divorce, there had to be something that came. There's something that you came to that you now decided to go your separate part your ways. So maybe this thing will get better over time, but it's never easy. Divorce is never easy, especially if you've had a lot of years. You have money and you have property involved. People's names are on things, cars, homes, assets, maybe joint accounts. If you've been used to doing things a particular way while you were with this person, now you got to pretty much rearrange your whole lifestyle now to something else. And so some people might even look at the fact that she was with an NBA player and say, well, so she's used to marrying up. And so this is what we call this with some women. However, I will say this, there were some women that kind of seek to marry up. they marry men that are of wealth, and it may be beyond just the fact that they're attracted to it. It's the fact that they're attracted to a male that has a lot of wealth. And so it's just like some women are attracted to men that maybe he has, some type of characteristics or quality or something about him. But this in particular, maybe she feels that if she's with this person, that she's going to be secure. This is not some guy that's going to be broke and he doesn't have any career goals. He doesn't have anything in mind to better himself, and so she finds attractive a guy that has career goals and he has possession of wealth and he's established, is what they call it. And so men that don't have this seem to be guys that are less desirable. And so some women tend to want some security. And so, however, you have some women that maybe they don't necessarily desire a man that has millions and millions of dollars. And so there's all kind of things that people are attracted to. So I suppose, that would be that's like, I think that's the basic, woman that, there might be women that he doesn't have to be rich, but just have a good job, be secure, he can take care of himself and a family. And he doesn't have to be an 800 millionaire or billionaire or whatever. So, but I feel like when you have more money, you have more, you possess more property. You can afford more, and so your lifestyle is according to what you can afford. And so to not have that lifestyle anymore because you split with that person, it changes a lot. So anyway, having said that, I'm gonna let this video go. I could sit on here and I could say all these horrible things about Dr. Dre or his wife, but what do you have to gain for doing that? And I have heard videos that do that. I mean, these people, they're human, they have a life. They're not perfect, and I would say any celebrity marriage that begins in marriage, a great, lovely marriage, or ends in divorce or whatever. These are human. At the end of the day, these are human beings. And so we've seen it all before, But I did notice there were other guys that were like even possessed more money than Dr. Dre, and their wives got half of what they had, and you didn't hear a peep out of no one, hardly, except I did hear, with the CEO Jeff Bezos, when his wife and him split, they said, "Oh, that's what she married him for, his money," So even though they're not black, but still, at least for some reason, when it's women, they seem to just make women look like that's what they're out. That's why I feel like sometimes when women come in a relationship already paid, they're already established, they don't need no guy for no money. They are the money. The story is different. And then she gets bashed for having money. I mean, so I feel like sometimes I have not been that excited about the way some women are when they have money, because sometimes they begin to unless they're doing good for people, sometimes they can get kind of pious. But look at the climate we live in. It's usually the men have the money, the men control, the men run the household, the men are the pants, and it's patriarchal. And so maybe that's why some women, when they do possess a lot, they become pious, because of all of the scrutiny you're faced with. And anyway, having said that, here you got a woman who, it looks as though the way they have this shaped, that she really didn't have a lot of money coming in this relationship, that he had all the money, and that she's basically trying to get money out of him. That there's a money fight. There was a lifestyle they were living. They were happy. They met. He fell in love with her. She was with some guy that was a sports guy, and it wasn't working out, and they split up, and then he wooed her, and then they ended up with this long relationship, and now they're splitting, irreconcilable differences, and now she's getting thrown under the bus like 3 times. And her daughter truly has come out and spoke on her behalf, because who wouldn't? I mean, it's so wrong, because they see this, why not come to the defense of your mother? And here you got this male dominated atmosphere where everybody is flexing their muscles online, and they're pretty much bashing females. So that's what it's always been, it seems like. And it's kind of sad, because at the end of the day, these are human beings. And this woman, she has to survive afterward. What is she going through emotionally, after this split? And maybe it's really hurting her. And so, having said that, I'm going to let the video go finally. But I know this video, among many other videos, is going to be met with some kind of oppositional comments, and it's going to be negative, or maybe not. But I'm going to say this again: no divorce. In no divorce, no one is the winner. This is not that type of deal. I don't care what any media outlet says. And those media outlets that do that, all they're there for is to instigate and initiate the divorce drama and the mudslinging. They're not there to make this a smooth transition. They're there to basically paint this picture of this high-profile divorce as a battle, a mudslinging contest. And it doesn't make anybody's lives good. Nobody has anything to gain from any of that. Thanks for listening.